Hey everyone! You're listening to Teens Take the Mic.
We are two high school students sharing the ups and downs of being second-generation immigrants.
Today, we're going to be talking about who we are and what we want to achieve.
Okay, so since it's our first episode, let's tell our listeners a little bit about ourselves.
Sure. Hi, my name is Anika Jolly, and I'm a 15-year-old Indian. I swim and play tennis, and I love to code. I'm interested in joining the computer engineering field in college.
And I'm Phoebe Hu. I'm Chinese and the oldest daughter of two children. I play soccer and run track, and I want to enter into the medical field in the future.
Before we start, what exactly does being a second-gen immigrant teen even mean?
Well, let's see. It says here from Harvard that second-gen immigrants are people who are born in the United States but have parents who are born in another country.
Makes sense. In my case, my parents came from India, but I was born here.
Yeah. Both my parents immigrated to the US from China around the 2000s, and don't get me wrong, I love my Chinese culture and heritage, but it's so different from the lifestyle in America.
I completely agree with you. Not only is the culture and heritage different, but so is the education. Whenever I needed help with a certain math problem, my mom would teach me new tricks and formulas I've never heard of, like BODMAS instead of PEMDAS.
That reminds me, in middle school, I remember we were learning about the AC method for factoring, but my mom taught me another way, so when my teacher talked about these problems, I always did it the way I learned from my mom because it was so much easier.
See, these things aren't always necessarily negative.
Yeah, it helped me solve the questions much faster.
I think that we should all learn to embrace these little differences. It's okay not to be doing things the way people want us to be doing it.
Exactly. Many times I feel pressured or like other people are judging me for doing something different.
Same. For example, not something exactly education related, but growing up with immigrant parents, I was more accustomed to speaking in British English a bit. I would say words like aeroplane, cabinet, or football instead of soccer. I was in second grade at the time, and a lot of kids would point out about how I wasn't right and how weird it was in a very rude way.
Education, culture, and heritage are some things immigrants can be affected by when having to move from one country to another. This is then carried on to their children, us, second-generation immigrants. I know that when my parents came here, it was hard to get a whole new life established. And especially when I was growing up, they didn't know much about the way the schools worked here. But one thing that helped them was getting together with other Chinese immigrant parents, and they were able to support each other.
Yeah, when my parents moved here, we had no other family. They felt like they had minimum support, becoming independent without the help from any other loved ones. Visa rules also gave lots of uncertainty in their lives, especially for Indians, as there's a huge queue to get a green card. They never knew when they had to leave everything they had built and move back to India.
All of this sounds very rough. Thankfully, there are a lot of resources online that are targeted towards these first-generation immigrants, but not the children.
And this is a serious issue. Our problems shouldn't get overlooked by the struggle of our parents. Yes, they worked really hard and faced many hardships, but there should be resources out there to help children of immigrants as well.
Yeah, exactly. As a result, children and teens may find trouble in finding people who support them. For me, growing up, it was comforting to know and find people that have these problems as well and share similar experiences. It made me feel less alone. Like, you and I are both second-generation immigrant teens, and I can talk to you about the problems I face that you understand.
I love that. It's important to have people we can rely on, especially in cases like this. See, me and my parents don't agree on many things because of cultural differences and generational differences too. But for a second-gen immigrant, having a parent born in a whole different country with different customs, such as prioritizing studies over social lives, or even small things like not having a phone until you're 19 and by yourself, because that's how I got it, can be difficult to live with.
That's a great point, Anika. Generational differences definitely do exist, that's for sure. My mom used to tell me stories about her childhood, and I would always be so excited to hear them. One thing I remember her mentioning is her school routine. She would wake up at 5, go for a run, go to school, get her homework done, and go to sleep really early. And she still had time to hang out with her friends and things like that. Especially now, for me, that sounds literally impossible to achieve. There's just too many things to get done that I always find myself staying up very late to finish it. But school back then and school now is so different, and it's not just because it's in different countries. The education curriculum definitely has changed over the years, and depending on the school and even the country you live in, the coursework could be really demanding.
Yeah, we can always talk about high school problems and time management in a later episode too.
Perfect. I know I definitely need some tips.
You're not alone. One huge cultural difference I forgot to point out was asking for a phone. What many second-gen immigrant parents don't understand is that for a child to fit in, they may require and have things that their parents don't need when they were growing up. This hasn't happened to me, but my friend's parents wouldn't give him a phone till he was 14 years old because his parents had gotten a phone at that age too.
That's crazy, but many people have probably experienced something similar.
Yeah, what his parents didn't realize was that in this culture and in this generation, having a phone is so important for a social life and to connect with your friends. Maybe when our parents were younger, phones weren't as critical since they weren't there, but they are now for many teens. Not only that, but in India, having a phone may not be as important either because of how closely dense the population is within each other. Having a friend right next door, hanging out with them every day. It's just a small cultural differences that we have to see and can change a second-gen immigrant parent's perspective on something we face today.
Exactly. A change in location and culture causes people needing to adapt to this new style of life. Like you mentioned, second-generation teens may feel the need to meet societal expectations, but parents may not see this as a problem. Some may be unwilling to change their perspective.
Parents may have unrealistic expectations for their children based on life in their home country. It can be extremely burdenful since things work differently in different places. The pressure of the parents could even guide their kids on the wrong path.
But don't get us wrong, we're not blaming our parents. For me, and I'm sure a lot of people can relate, our parents are the greatest people out there. They've been with us through every situation, though they may not understand everything we're going through.
Definitely. Everyone is still going through new experiences, both us as children and our parents. Yes, they may not understand certain things, and that's totally okay.
This brings us back to our original topic. We want to be a source of support to other second-gen teens who feel the same. For those who feel lost at times, or for those who just need to know that they aren't alone in the world. We hope to be people that you can relate to, or just be able to spread positivity around.
So, before we sign off, we're going to explain a little bit more on why we decided to make this podcast in the first place.
Yeah, when we first brainstormed about Teens Take the Mic, we wanted to create a supportive community for teenagers like us.
Entering high school came with many challenges, and we figured out that some of these had to do with these cultural differences or misunderstandings between us and our parents.
We eventually realized that other second-generation teens also had similar problems. For example, their parents weren't familiar with the high school process and didn't thoroughly understand the information presented to them.
And these difficulties don't just apply to education, but to many aspects of life. Of course, we can't change the way people live and think, and we can't solve this since most of the time it's on a personal basis, but we just wanted to share our experiences to relate to others.
That's right. We wanted to provide a platform where young people could openly discuss their experiences, challenges, and achievements, knowing that they're being heard and understood.
At the end of the day, what we're really trying to achieve is creating a welcoming place for us to share our experiences as second-gen teens and relate to others.
We each had so much to say, and we just decided to open it up to the world. Wait, we should totally explain our podcast format.
Oh, you're right. Okay, so Teens Take the Mic will be more of a conversational type podcast based upon our own stories and research.
It'll follow a season episode format, which will follow the progression of our high school years. So season 1 will be freshman year, season 2 will be sophomore year, and so on. This structure will allow both us as producers and you as listeners to navigate through the episodes more easily. We know each year brings its own ups and downs, and we're eager to dive into these new beginnings together with all of you.
So, as we wrap it up for today, we want to express our gratitude to each and every one of you for listening to our first ever podcast episode.
Make sure to follow our Instagram at Teens Take the Mic if you want to be updated.
Also, if you want to be a guest speaker on our podcast, please feel free to fill out the Google form in our bio and we will contact you accordingly.
And we're proud to say that our website is almost ready. We're so excited to get it up for you all to access.
Join us next time as we dive into the exciting topic of freshman year.
So exciting. There's just so much to talk about.
I know. I can't wait to record the next episode.
Yeah, we may even have to split this up into multiple parts because of the wide variety of topics we can discuss.
Until then, take care, stay safe, and keep on being who you truly are.
Thank you for listening to Season 1, Episode 1 of Teens Take the Mic.
See you next time!